Hey, everybody. I'm Joe. I'm from the Fixate and Binge podcast. I just thought I would open this second part of my two-part podcast with Heston Horwin just to let you know this is the conclusion. This is the second part. If this is your first time visiting the Fixate and Binge podcast, or if you missed last week's episode, I think you should go back and watch the previous episode before you jump into this second part so that you know exactly what we're talking about. Anyway, glad you're here, and I hope you enjoy this amazing conversation with Heston about the art of filmmaking and believing and investing in your dreams.
I would have to agree. It just and yet the whole thing is it just comes together. It just comes together. Sometimes performances, especially live performances, it's a mystery. There's a great line in Shakespeare in Love where one of the minor characters says, "How are we going to do this? How are we going to pull this off?" And the actor playing the nurse, it's a male actor, says, "I don't know. It's a mystery. It'll just work
Yep.
out. Just trust in the process." Right.
It is.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll come together. Just be pliant, be trusting, and it'll happen. Um, I wanted to ask a little bit about the fight scenes, the because there's some impressive choreography here, and and included in the fight scenes, I wouldn't mind asking about. I mean, it's not a spoiler alert, but the gunplay and the car chases and everything that's going, everything's high octane here. But I wanted to ask, your fight coordinator got it right, especially the bar scene, amongst other scenes. But I don't know if you wanted to speak to that.
Yes. So we lucked out big time. Our stunt coordinators, they're a couple. They are both amazing in their own rights, amazing stunt coordinators, who also happen to be in a relationship together. Crystal Martin and Brandon Elmore are their names, and the two of them really just they made the whole film possible in terms of the stunts. They not only were able to choreograph amazingly elaborate stunt pieces, but they were also able to act in the film themselves. So you see Brandon as the security guard in the auction set piece, and then you have Crystal in the big bar fight scene. And they are also such gifted fighters that being able to film them as characters in the film, it just elevates everything else. The funny thing about the auction set piece between Brandon and Chase, the security guard, and Hick, is that they kind of choreographed that scene together because Chase is a huge action film, Korean, Hong Kong cinema, yeah, all of that stuff. He's a savant, has a black belt in karate himself. And I think Brandon, being just the very giving and open stuntman that he is, realized that Chase has this natural gift for choreography as well. So the two of them were kind of able to do that dance together, which was really fun to see. Whereas for me in the bar fight with Crystal, I was like, "You tell me what to do. I am not sure what's going to sell here or look funny." And Crystal did an amazing job in that scene as well. So yeah, both Crystal and Brandon really they just elevated that film to another tier for us.
Wow. I'm looking at some of the set pieces. I mean, I grew up on the Fall Guy. I'm a Gen Xer. I grew up on the Fall Guy with Lee Majors, and there were always bar fights in that film, or the A Team, or whatever it may be. And somebody's always cracking a chair over someone's back. And was there? I mean, that stuff looks real, right? But is there anything that you can say about buying things that are purchasing things for your film for set pieces like this that are not going to injure your actors? Like anything like that. I mean, you have to work with you know pieces of the set or specific things that are purchased for a film like this. That so you make sure your actors don't get injured with the real thing.
Totally. So I had a fun comedic bit where I had one of these biker guys that we're in a fight with who just gets annihilated with beer bottle after beer bottle after beer bottle after shot glass. So that was and it's like one guy who just gets targeted with all of the beer bottles and shot glasses. That's played by my buddy Alex Bonifer, another hilarious comedian out of the Groundlings. And he's also a big dude, used to be a football player. So we got this wonderful set. It was a back room of a restaurant where we shot in Arizona. And they were like, we're getting rid of all this furniture and like all this stuff, so you guys can kind of roughhouse in there and, don't worry about breaking anything. And we're like, great. So Crystal devised some very fun but like safe kind of safe set pieces and stuff where we're kind of smashing through some of the furniture, and then obviously the breakaway glass that we had. It's expensive. We're not working with millions of dollars on this budget. So we had a 12 pack of breakaway glass beer bottles and then a 6 pack of shot glasses. And again, it was limited runway, but because we had such absolute professionals between Brandon and Crystal, we were able to get everything in the limited takes that we had available, and we used every single one of those breakaway beer bottles. So shout out to Alex Bonifer for taking a sugar glass beating. But yeah, everything felt totally safe, totally comfortable in that sphere. And then, not to mention me and Chase, we go back to theater school where we've been doing fake fighting and fake beating the crap out of each other for years and years and years for our friends. So that was also kind of an ace up Trevor's sleeve where he can kind of just send us into the dirt and then just let us kind of do our fake choreographed thing. And then we're going to sell the hits because we're best friends that have been doing this dumb, idiotic behavior for years. And Trevor will just roll the camera. So yeah, we lucked out, but really like a huge, huge multiple hats off to Brandon and to Crystal.
Awesome. Both their characters. I remember the bar scene, the bar setup scene there. It was a funny bar fight. I mean,
Yeah.
there was humor in that. Your character does something to another character, and I'm all, well, okay. I mean, whoever's going to throw hands with you, I guess it's fair game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Back me up against the wall.
yeah, it was really, really fun. I think I wanted to ask you a little bit about this story underneath all the mischief, underneath all of the tomfoolery, skullduggery, monkey shines, and shenanigans. I'm all tapped out loquaciously there. But underneath all of that is a story about genuine friendship. What message is that? The message that you hope that viewers and fans of the film, such as myself, take away from the film, or is there more? Is there something else you were going for?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of love stories uh hidden. Some are more obvious than others, but I think there's the love story between Hick and his daughter and
Yeah,
reuniting her, and really that's the core of the film is Hick trying to get back to his estranged daughter who he hasn't seen in years because he was taken to prison. Um but then the actual title of the film is the Misadventures of Vince and Hick. So there's the love story of these two friends who start out as people that Hick especially really does not like this guy, and I'm kind of this sly-tongued, lonely pain in the butt. Again, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that was like a huge inspiration for that kind of relationship. Midnight Run, where you pit these two parties together, and it's obviously very odd couple, and by the end of the film they learn, oh, not only do we learn to work together and to accomplish our goals, but we also have a friendship here now that really will last beyond the end cut of the film. So I think, yeah, like the message that I kind of want people to take away is that love stories aren't always romantic. Love stories can be familial, love stories can be friendships. And I think in life, sometimes the most amount of time that we spend in life is with ourselves. And we sometimes outgrow certain relationships, and certain people don't always stay in our lives. But I do feel like there are certain friendships that are your chosen family that do last for life. And Chase is absolutely one of those people for me. And so, mirroring Vincent Hick as well as in real life, and Trevor, like we're best friends that I feel like are in some ways like we're closer to one another than our own family members. And so I think that really is a message that is important to share, and I feel like to make more accepted in the love story genre is friendship.
yeah, that is perfectly explained. That's certainly what I came away with it from. And as soon as I finished watching it, I went and started writing my review. And that was just the first reactions I had, where it conjured up other instances or other examples of friendship movies. But Midnight Run, that's brilliant, because you're right. It is very Midnight Run-esque. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a favorite. Yes, very much similar to that as well. Um, so the theme carries. If that's what you were going for here, Heston, it worked. You knocked it out of the park. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it so much, as I watched the credits roll, it said, Vincent Hick will return. I was comforted by that, because I would love to go on another misadventure with these characters.
You will.
Awesome.
You absolutely. So from day one, this was built to be a franchise. My dream for it, Joe, is to make the Misadventures of Vincent Hick the world's largest indie franchise. So I want to hold on to the rights. I want to keep telling these stories. The idea that me and Chase of Trevor have kind of ping-ponged around with one another is seeing these characters sort of every 7 years, which we filmed the movie in the summer of 22. So, the 7-year markup will be coming before we know it. Um, I, I feel like we've had a long gap since we've had original characters and an original franchise. I don't think we've ever seen really like an independently run, owned film franchise that wasn't any particular studio bought out or anything like that, and they stuck to indie. Obviously, you have Clerks, and you have Kevin Smith, and you have all of that kind of energy, which is also a big inspiration for us. But Vincent Hick will absolutely be making their return, and potentially in more formats than just feature films. To what you were saying earlier about a comic book, I am in process with working with Tony Donnelly on building an issue of the Misadventures of Vincent Hick. We have so much comic book art that he has already drawn for us that we used in the film that we can also, I think, use in a book. And what I want to do, self-distribute this puppy, with the exception of international. I think internationally, I'm going to need some help distributing it. We already thankfully have a distributor in Italy, which again, spaghetti Western vibe, like that's the perfect audience for this kind of film. But domestically, I want to sell this myself. I want to distribute this myself. I'm getting a lot of great advice from Dan Mervish, who's co-founder of Slam Dance, who has been on this rodeo before. A friend of mine, Mike Cheslick, who directed a film called Hundreds of Beavers, and he did his own self-distribution. I've been talking to him as well and getting advice on just his journey. I really think it's the future for indie cinema. I think filmmakers that are making their own products, we need to start learning how to distribute and market our own products. As the Duplass brothers say, the cavalry is not coming. And I think that is just more and more profoundly true as time goes on and as this industry evolves. So I want to sell these comic books with I think what I'm cooking up here is selling the feature film, having a unique barcode within these comic books that you can buy 2 for 1. It's the comic book, and then you scan it, and it's a one-time redeem unique code to own the film digitally as well. And to go to conventions and go to VHS stores, comic book stores, everything within that kind of realm, and just promote this grassroots to those kinds of consumers, because I am one of those consumers. I am a gamer, graphic novel enthusiast, movie cinephile. Like and physical media is so important to me as well. So I really want Vincent Hick to live physically, whether that's comic book. I want to try to get some VHS tape production as well. We have all the art in place. We have a good connection for manufacturing some VHS tapes. Collector's edition batch of VHS tapes, I think would be so cool for Vincent Hick. So yeah, I just any means necessary to get this film, this IP out there for the fans, to the people that followed me on YouTube and TikTok during quarantine while we were shooting the shorts of Vincent Hick. People that I was telling Chase and Trevor, I was like, this is our audience. We've had the audience waiting here that follow me on TikTok and YouTube that literally subscribe to watch me and Chase do dumb stuff together all the time. I'm like, this is the feature length version of that. So finding a way to engage an audience that thankfully, which I think gives me a real advantage here, they already exist. They're there. So I just need to be able to really connect and resonate with them, and we'll see where it goes. But Vincent Hick will absolutely return.
Wow. I'm inspired just listening to that. And I hope in my small sphere of influence that I can help make that and support that to happen. I would love to see a TV series. I would love to see an animated series. I would love to see more graphic novels. More. I mean, Kylo Ren trying to kill Luke Skywalker. More, more. You know the scene.
Of
More.
course. Oh yeah.
Hook it up to my veins. More.
Yes.
So.
I love that. And yeah, I mean, the answer is 100% yes. More is coming. And you have already been such a wonderful support and big influence and inspiration for us to really just keep going, because when we find someone like you that really resonates with the material, it makes us feel like, okay, we're not crazy. This is something that will resonate with people like us that have similar sensibilities to us, that see the influences, that get that what we're trying to do is we're not trying to make a filet mignon, highbrow kind of, indie, which I love those kinds of movies. Trevor always said, we're just trying to make a really good cheeseburger. And so I'm like, that's it. We're just trying to make a fun ride, good cheeseburger. You're in, you're out. Let's go, baby.
Wow. Trevor has nailed it. This is one hell of a cheeseburger. But you're right. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're trying to do something that's universally recognized, universally loved, and it's called good indie cinema. And when you do it right, as you guys have done, I mean, that's why I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Now, if I'm being too generous, I'm not going to back down from that. This thing is in my top 4 all-time greatest films on Letterboxd. I'm going to put my balls out there, and I'm going to tell you, it deserves to be there. Um, it deserves to be there. I'm not going to fill my Letterboxd account with Francois Truffaut and Jean-Luc Godard films, and I mean, I'm not trying to be that type of person. I'm not trying to be pretentious. You worked brilliantly with a certain style. You captured something that I loved in this. The kind of even the setting, the Route 66, almost Radiator Springs cars, Pixar cars of a bygone, forgotten town that the interstate kind of forgot this town. Even at the beginning, watching Chase's character walk around this town with the railroad in the background and the beaten up buildings and a forgotten era, and you guys went for it. And I could talk for hours, Heston, about how much I loved your film, and I know I could pull out a film review 10 times longer, which at that point needs to start being a book. I don't want to do that. So um, I guess I just want to ask, what has this experience been like for you? How has making this film transformed you, or has it changed the way you look at your career? What has it done?
That's a phenomenal question. So as you may have picked up, I was saying that we shot this in July, or sorry, May and June of 2022. It is now October of 2025, which means we had a pretty lengthy post-production process since wrapping this feature. Uh, the film has absolutely, it has been the cross that I've been shouldering through the desert, and I feel like it's been my greatest gift and also my greatest lesson in life, because I've had features before where I was involved on the production standpoint as an EP or something like that. Nothing as intimately involved as the Misadventures of Vincent Hick was for me. Not only was, I penned the script and one of the co-leads next to Chase, co-creators of the three boys, but I also literally my body went through a full, car accident being slammed by a van. And like, that's where we were able to get the money. So I've literally gone through blood, sweat, and tears to get this thing made. And it was not an easy process. Once we wrapped, we had a version of the film that we submitted to festivals, and our previous feature Rocksteady Row had this absolute charmed darling indie darling experience where we won Slam Dance and we toured around the world for a full calendar year, and me and Trevor went to all these amazing locations where we got to celebrate our film and be celebrated. And that was not the initial reception for Vincent Hick. When we first started submitting this, I kid you not, over the span of probably 2 years, we were being rejected by over 100 film festivals, small, medium, and large. And we were cutting and recutting and retrying and doing all these different tweaks to the film to try to figure out exactly what is the version of this film that for us, for me and Trevor and Chase, what is the maximum potential of this film? And I think sometimes you get a little bit lost in the sauce and you can't make the forest from the trees when you're getting feedback and you're changing your product, and you're getting feedback and you're changing your product. And I think we went through this whole long bloated process of rejection, 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 change the product, change the product, change the product. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, okay, everyone's going to have a note, everyone's going to have a thought. How can we just get this movie to its, again, like I said, its maximum potential state? And that way we can be okay with whatever result. If we have that version and we're still being rejected by all the festivals and we're still whatever it is, that's fine. Our end game, it's not going to be the festivals anyways. Our end game is going to be, like I said, the audience, and it's going to be the people like us that really resonate with this kind of film. So we hired our good friend Almog Abidan Antonir, the director of Trust, which you watched, and
Yes.
also editor of Trust. He's the most talented editor I've ever known. He was our script supervisor on Vincent Hick. Um, I was like, Trevor, we're trying to do too much here. I think we got into the mindset of like we need to wear all the hats and we need to produce it and fund it and act in it and then edit it and do all this stuff. But I was like, what made this film special to begin with was the assembling of these Avengers, as you said, where each person's unique superpower can shine through. So I got Almog and I had him do a complete top to bottom recut of the entire feature film. Um, and he was like, my goal here is to get you back to what your original script was and what it felt like. I think you guys got way too caught up in the sauce of trying to make it snappy and quick and just like a Corvette roaring through the whole runtime. He was like, we're going to take some beats. We're going to let some characters flesh out a little bit more back to what your script originally was. So that was a great lesson for me to learn, to be like, that initial instinct, that initial script, the initial story, like that we wanted to tell before we were getting inundated with notes and feedback and chasing results, like that was what made the film special to begin with, that original vision. So Almog, as the talented, wonderful editor that he is, he brought it all back to really that original DNA. And then color, throughout those 3 years of post production, we weren't sure if this whole film was going to be in black and white, because our shorts on YouTube are all in black and white, which we shot for budgetary reasons. We were in the desert, the sun is hot and it's bright, and we're like, let's just do it in black and white. It'll give that cool Nick at Night vintage feel, and it'll be easier for us to make it look cinematic. Um, but the feature, we were getting all this again. We were getting a lot of feedback from our friends. They're like, I think this should be in color. Tried it in all in color. They were like, yeah, but all in color, there were certain things that it highlights the good things and it makes the good things look really good. But then the things that we were kind of hoping we were going to be able to skirt by with black and white, those look really rough now. So we were like, we were unsure. And again, it's like this whole time I'm submitting to festivals like all these versions of the film, some in black and white, some in color, some are short, some are long. It was like such, and all the while, I think too, is like such a painful but important lesson for me to learn, where I'm like, okay, what am I without the indie darling experience? What am I without the approval? What am I without the acceptance of like my own indie community, like the festival community? I still program for Slamdance. I love film festivals. What am I without this approval and without this acceptance? Um, and so we got another Avenger at the 11th hour, literally. Brian Smaller, who colored our film, he colored our first feature film and since has just blown up, and he works at Company 3 and he does the John Wick films and he does all like the big Hollywood blockbusters. We're like, we're never going to be able to get Brian Smaller back on this. But again, we had this new cut from Almog. He made this really phenomenal, and Almog put it temporarily all in black and white back to the original source material. And I was like, okay, I still think we're missing something. I don't think it's all color, but I also don't think it's all black and white. Where is the in between? So we got Brian Smaller at the 11th hour. I begged and pleaded and eventually got him to agree to color our film. And Brian was like, okay, what if it's somewhere in the middle? What if you start this film out, you bookend it with black and white, where you have this guy, Hick, alone in solitude, and that black and white showcases that. And then once he gets on the series of misadventures, and we have it in color. And then it was Trevor Stevens that then ping-ponged off of Brian's idea, where Trevor was like, okay, how can we make this character motivated? And that was, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but that was where the idea came to highlight Vince in color. So in the beginning of the film, it's all black and white. Hick is down on his luck. He can't get a job. He is estranged from his daughter. His world is bleak. And then he sees this character in the background, almost like an annoying fly that he can't swat. That is Vince, highlighted in color, and he's a loudmouth and he's bragging about how much money he's got on the phone and all this stuff. And then when they eventually collide, Vince's color spreads into Hick's world, and then this whole film then takes place in color until the end of the film. When, again, no spoilers, but you'll see these two parties split and they go their separate ways, and then Hick's life returns to black and white. Again, really just Trevor, the genius that he is, able to find these ways to make things not only cool and sleek and flashy, but character motivated, and it really it echoes the theme of what I was talking to you about, which the love story of this friendship between the two of them. Like Vince brings the color to Hick's world, and then when they're apart, Hick is just kind of back into this flat, monotone sort of lifestyle. I'm really excited to bring that element back. Yeah, I've to come full circle. This long story long answer to your question. Man, it has been a crazy journey and a crazy series of lessons that I've had to go through. And once we got that version, Joe, the version that Almog edited, that Brian colored, that had my script really showcasing through, and Trevor's directorial, his insight and the genius of making everything feel so character motivated. Once we combine that, then the festival started trickling in, and then we got one. We're like, oh my gosh, amazing, we got one. And then there was two. We're like, oh my god, there's two more. And then there's a couple more. And now I really, really feel like we're rolling, and we're starting to pick up momentum, and getting reviews such as yours, like that. You have no idea at the turn of the tide, as Gandalf would say. Like
Wow.
you are the shining beacon where I'm like, yes, oh my god, like this movie that we thought we were like crazy for making because only we thought this was like worth making, starting to resonate with other people. Like we knew that other people would resonate with this material. Like yes, like come you nerds, like let's go battle march on Helm's Deep. Nerds unite, man. So I'm just so excited for it. It's the film I'm the most proud of. Same with Trevor and Chase. Even through all the dark times, we kept saying, look, like this is still the best movie we've ever made. Like we don't know what's happening. It'll happen the way that it's meant to. It was really tough, but we leaned on one another through all of that. And so it just feels so relieving to finally be in a place where not only do I feel a lot stronger and just more comfortable with the rejections and comfortable with like people saying no or whatever. That's fine. It doesn't have to be a reflection on my self-worth or my film's worth, whatever it is. Like you just have to keep going. You have to believe in what you're making is a reflection of your creative soul, and Vincent Hick is absolutely that for me. And like I said, this is a franchise. There's going to be more, and I'm I'm married to this thing. So when I start coming from that angle, I'm like, the short term stuff, it doesn't really matter because this is something much bigger that will be with me for years and years and years to come. And so I really, I am a changed man because of this film.
Well, I just love listening to you, Heston, because the way you talk so passionately, it comes from a genuine place of an authentic place of belief, of optimism, of going for it, of making and taking risks. Having your dreams and then working hard to make them come true. And doing the dog work, because a lot of the promotion side of things is unglamorous, and you're coming to people with your hat in your hand, and you're saying, "Hey, be gentle, but here's my baby, here's my project." And I imagine, I mean, I used to. Oh gosh, years ago, so many years ago, almost a lifetime ago, it seems, I used to go door to door and try and sell garbage and crap, and I had to make a living. I had to pay bills, right? And stripping wasn't going to pay those bills, so I mean, so sorry, I have my mother's thighs. I'll fit into the mankini next year. My my point was, I had to go. Yeah, thank you. I had to go door to door for my bread, to earn my bread. And I remember, in an Arthur Miller Death of a Salesman kind of way, it's a very rejection. It can be a very hard lesson to learn in life, and it's very hard not to take it personal. And I'm sure you could definitely speak to this, because anyone in entertainment who auditions and is always reading for parts, and you could probably fill a long list of parts you didn't get versus the ones you landed. And I remember just this. I'm sure it's on a Hallmark greeting card somewhere in the salesman section of conciliatory card section. It says, "Every no brings you closer to a yes. Every closed door will bring you closer to the one that will open for you." And the point is, as Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. In other words, keep moving. Don't stop. Don't dwell on the rejections. Just stay positive and keep moving forward. And now it sounds like a Rocky speech. It's not how hard you can get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's a great speech, but he's right.
Classic.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you said about just going forward and investing in yourself and investing in your dreams, and just being an agent of progress, it really does come down to you believing in yourself and investing in yourself. I mean, I really think that's what it is. It's not profound. It's simple. Believe in yourself, invest in yourself.
And know when to ask for help. Like I said, me and Trevor were trying to shoulder the burden of every single department on this thing for too long, and we were just making the journey harder for ourselves. And eventually we agreed, like, yeah, I think it's time to bring on more Avengers who we know their special talent is editing, is color, is all these things. And once we allowed the help to come in, because again, odds are everyone has some friend or community surrounding them of people that can provide so much value to their lives, more than we might even understand or realize until we allow it in. So, man, that was also just such a huge lesson, was just, hey, I need help. Like, this is a thing that I believe in and that I know will resonate with people, and I know it's special. It's the best thing I've ever done, but like, I can't do this alone anymore. And Trevor can't do this alone anymore. Like, we need more support. We need more Avengers. And so that might have been the most important lesson that we learned throughout this 3-year long post-production process.
Wow. Heston, I have loved this conversation. I've been looking forward to just sitting down with you because, of course, if you didn't know, I loved your film. If you didn't know by now, I'm nerdy about it. You said nerds of the world unite. Well, I hope they do. I hope they do unite and come see your film. Now, you are moving this film. You're being very strategic, I think is the word you used. You're being very strategic about how your film creates a buzz, and you are putting it through. And by the way, you mentioned 100 Beavers. You're friends with the director. My son and I, we loved that film. We watched that film. We love that film. That's so genius. But I think you're doing it the right way. Because I follow you on the socials. I know that you've been recently at film festivals and you're collecting a lot of accolades, which is deserved. Because all of that does is just raise awareness about the brilliance of the film. How much more? I mean, if you're at liberty to say, when can we see the official premiere?
Yes, so we have a couple more film festivals coming up, which I'm very excited to be a part of. One is South Carolina Underground Film Festival, aka Scuff, very cool punk rock film festival. And then the Soho Horror Festival in London. We'll be doing that in November, both of those festivals in November. Um, and then we're still waiting on kind of a batch of festivals in the first quarter of 2026. I think I'm already starting, like I said, I'm building that comic book with Tony. I'm already starting to get the wheels cranking with distribution and how I'm going to start promoting this thing. Um, 2026 guaranteed will be when this film releases. My goal right now is by July of 2026 in time for San Diego Comic-Con. I'm the biggest Comic-Con nerd uh, I most likely you've ever met, unless you surprise me with some backstory yourself with the convention. I've been going like every year, 20 years plus. I haven't missed one. Um, and a big part of my community lies there as well. This film is going to be heavily promoted at comic book conventions, and Comic-Con is the mecca of all of them. So really connecting through my artist Tony's connections as well with the other comic book artists that are going to be there, and just doing the self-promotion game. So I think summer 2026 realistically is a good time to be eyeballing the release of the feature. But in the meantime, like I said, there's two shorts that exist online that have been public for a while now. And again, speaking to accessing my audience on TikTok, I've started shooting some vignettes of Vincent Hick that I'm going to start introducing to my TikTok audience, which they've only seen in the format of the shorts, but they've seen me and Chase do buddy tandem comedy for years now. So I'm going to start again. I'm just finding creative ways to getting these characters into the mainstream, into the algorithms, to kind of prime people a little bit for the feature so that when it is ready to roll out, people will already be familiar with these characters and this world. So people can be on the lookout for more, hopefully viral content for Vincent Hick. And then that comic book joint distribution with the film, I'm like so excited to be really making moves on that. So
Wow. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait. And by the way, I'm kicking myself. I don't know why I am not following you on TikTok. I keep a pretty I'm not as active on my TikTok account as I used to be, but I make a lot of TikToks, and sometimes I upload them onto Instagram. Sometimes I don't, but I'm definitely following you on I'm on TikTok now. I'm definitely going to load that up. Well, Heston, thank you so much for your time that you've given talk about your film, a film I love, a film I'm going to continue to love, a film I can't wait to share with more friends as this thing gets released officially gets released into the next year. Um, is there anything that you're currently working on? Like I know that you're a working actor, so in the midst of, I mean, you're juggling, right? You've got acting gigs, you've got movies, you've got things that are working, things that are actually on your plate. You've got a full plate right now. How you juggle all this is amazing. But is there anything you're currently working on you want to talk about or can mention?
absolutely. I'm so excited. I have been fortunate enough to be a part of two amazing feature films this year. The first of which is Ride or Die. And Ride or Die was filmed out in Montana. That is loaded with, I've mentioned Groundlings a few times, that is loaded with comedic talent, people that I have worked with before in the Groundlings comedic sphere. It's a horror comedy. It's lampooning reality TV shows where you have a bunch of hot couples that are, for the most part, all idiots that go out to the uh, the landscapes of Montana to find love, and they're all put up in one giant cabin house, kind of like the real world. And the house is built on haunted burial grounds. So one by one, the hot singles start getting possessed and committing horrific horrific actions. But it's really hysterically written. I can't wait for that to come out. And then the film that I just wrapped, titled Air Quotes, directed by Heidi Van Leer, who is a Slam Dance past alum and winner. I met her helping program for the festival. Immediately we resonated, and I was fortunate enough that she saw me and she was like, "You're perfect for this role that I've been writing for this film." And Air Quotes, it's a comedy, but a little satirical as well, and it all takes place in one flight. I play a down on his luck schmuck that is being divorced by his wife, and I get seated next to a guy that is basically telling me all the things that are wrong with me without me asking for it. And so it's like the nightmare flight for my character, and I don't fly well, and I'm having anxiety attacks while this guy is trying to coach me out of my slump. So there's a lot of very fun twists and turns as well that happen. There's no snakes on the plane, but fun relationship reveals and twists and turns on the flight, and that was also just like such a joy. Like, talk about really grassroots indie cinema. Everyone that is there is just rolling up their sleeves because they believe in the project, and it was such a great family of filmmakers as well, and everyone got really close throughout the production. We shot it in 11 days. We were doing 9 pages a day. It felt like theater in a lot of ways. Um, so that, both of those features are in post production. I'm excited about that. And then lastly, I'll plug my buddy Cole Woods. Nicholas Woods is his director name. Nicholas Woods, he has a short film. He's had features in the past that I've done, one of which, Echoes of Violence, that premiered at Cinequest as well as Trust. And then another film, The Axiom, which went to Sitges and a bunch of all the other great horror festivals. He's doing a short film right now. We just wrapped. Um, and it is The Dreadful Sunrise is the title. And it's a really cool premise. If you imagine Ocean's 11 type of bank heist, but it is vampires pulling off a heist at a blood bank. It's like,
Wow.
it's kick ass short. And Cole, Nicholas, excuse me, he already has his feature script written out. I think it's going to go places. I think it's going to do a lot of special things for him. And then lastly, I mentioned this earlier in the interview, but Fiona Renee, I penned the script for this short film that she did called Penelope, which is all about this terrifyingly undead Beetlejuice type character that she originated when she was doing haunt acting. And I wrote this script for her, and she directed it and produced it and starred in it. It's funny, it's Tim Burton-y, it's ghoulish, it's gross, it's perfect for the Halloween season. So lots of things to look out for.
Wow, I'll say that is a lot. Wow, all of that I want to see. And by the way, I think the blood bank heist is a hilarious concept. Not like laugh out loud, Naked Gun, spoof farce funny, but how brilliant.
So
Um, it's so hard to breathe life into a genre or a subgenre of horror. And so when it's done, I'm like, wow, a blood bank heist for vampires. That's brilliant. That's actually really clever. I'd love to see it, especially if it goes into a full length feature,
totally.
which I hope you come back for. I hope if it's a full lengther, I hope you're in it.
Yes, I made a cameo as one of the blood bank doctors.
Okay.
That meets a horrendous fate. So hopefully, he'll get a little backstory in the feature length version before he meets his inevitable bloody fate.
Got it. Got it. So it's not like a Sesame Street vampire, the Count type. No, not at all. No. It really goes for the jugular.
Good time meets the Lost Boys. That's what they're
Oh,
doing.
perfect. Okay. Okay. Well, Heston, thanks so much again for your time. Thanks so much for your passion, your energy. Um, if you're a struggling artist, if you're a struggling actor, writer, producer, I hope that this podcast, listening to Heston's words here and how he has just, gone for it, just everything in life is sweetened with risk. I don't know who said that. That's one of my favorite quotes. If you play it safe throughout life, you might find at the end of life that you'll look back and regret not making risks. And for people who out there who take the risk, and I'm not talking about having thrill-seeking issues like jumping out of planes and free climbing El Capitan on Yosemite. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just going for it. You have a dream, you go for it. This is the type of podcast. These are the types of people I want to continue meeting, that I want on here, because I love your energy and I love what you have to share. So thank you so much.
Really appreciate that, Joe. It means the world to me to be on your MySpace top 4 on Letterboxd. I mean, truly, it is such a dream reading your review, and to be able to get to come on your podcast is really, it's a huge highlight for me this whole entire year. This is very, very just special and important. I'm so glad to have made a friend with you as well throughout all this process, and I can't wait for the eventual follow-up roundtable that we'll do, and you can meet more of the team as well. But yeah, you are our number one guy, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Wow, that's very nice. Thank you so much, Heston. And the feeling's mutual. I just love your energy, and I'll be listening to this podcast myself a few times, because you laid down some wisdom throughout this podcast that is worth revisiting a few times. So thank you so much. To my listeners out there, I've got in 2 weeks' time, since this episode will probably be 2 episodes, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have a podcast out from Hemlock Circle Productions. I'm going to have the director, and I'm going to have one of the leading stars for a film that just came out. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's called Bad Men. It stars Sean William Scott and Rob Riggle are in it. And I'm going to have the director and one of the main stars from that on this podcast to talk about their experience making that film. And we're going to get into that. But for everyone else out there, I always like to finish these podcasts with something positive about your mental health, about loving yourself. And I don't mean narcissism. I mean being patient and being understanding and being supportive of yourself and who you are. Many of us are fighting personal battles. We have our personal demons. We have our doubts. And I want you to continue to put one foot in front of the other. And I want you to surround yourself with supportive, loving people so that you will be influenced by their love and support for you. Be nice to yourself. The world is hard. Sometimes it seems like it's getting harder. Be nice to yourself. You deserve it. And without saying much more than that, rather, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.